Anyway, guys, TJ64 here. So as you can see by the title and what I have in my possession is a PlayStation 1. So what I'm gonna do is give you a retro perspective and give you the thoughts, the positive and the negatives about the PlayStation 1 itself. See what it's innovative and all that. Basically simple console controls, accessories, blah blah blah. It's going through all the things make the PlayStation 1 popular back in the day, even to that, even though this came out 30 years ago. Well, yes, 30 years ago because this came out North America next September 9th, 1995. And it was discontinued in March of 2006, I think it was. I think it was March of 06 when I stopped making these because the PS3 came out later, but we're not here to talk about that. So anyway, as you can see, well, the PlayStation 1 was so innovative because this was, well, not the first. Because back in the 90s, CD players were expensive. If you want music CDs, you play anything you want on here. Because music CDs play DVDs, CDs, obviously, burnt discs. I think I said burn, but whatever. So yeah, audio CDs, based on what I'm saying. That's why it's so, like I said, because the CD players were expensive, this was used. This was that primary CD player, basically. You'll see when we do the PS2 and PS3, we'll get to that later. You see what I mean by that. Anyway, by the way, this is the reject button. You can open and close it, put it in the game or take it out. This is the power button you turn on. Obviously, the reset button. Of course, the memory card slots. I'll get to that in a minute. And the controller ports. Like I said, get to that in a minute. This particular model is a 5501 model. As you can see, manufactured in October 1997, almost 30 years ago when this came out. And yes, in case you're wondering, this is the same PlayStation 1 has the bad laser. I'll talk about the reliability later. So yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. Since we're back here, this is the AC power. I'll show you one real quick. I'll give you a warning caution. This is the AV cables. This works on the PlayStation 1, obviously. The new PS1, the small one. PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. Here's the AC adapter what I'm talking about. Here it is right here. By the way, I should give you a warning. If you got a PlayStation 2 Slim, of course I just don't need to show this. I'll show this in my PS3 review. Just as you can see, here's the PS2 adapter. This will work on if you have a PS1, you don't have the original PS1 adapter, this will work on a PS1 adapter. And yeah, because it was basically this, I think it will work. I could be wrong. Well, I think I'm getting the reverse way. The PS1 adapter will work on the PS2, but whatever. Oh, by the way, if you had one to order the very first model of the PS1 audio file, these are audio video cables from an old DVD player. If you had an older TV from the 90s, plug this from your TV, and because of course, this is not an audio file. This will have the red, white, yellow right here. It'll move this right there. So anyway, that's the parallel part. I don't know what that is for. Probably for a game chart. So anyway, these are old audio. If you have an audio file PlayStation 1, these are easy to find. So no need to talk about that. By the way, should obviously mention this right now. Obviously, you cannot use component cable. You can use RF if you had an older TV, RF output, and of course standard S video and composite video. You got no component, and obviously you use the HDMI adapter. We don't talk about that. Anyways, the controller. It's the original PlayStation controller. I will say this right now, most of the PlayStation 1 accessories will work on a PlayStation 2 because they use the same connector, same memory card. Here's one right here. Most of my stuff is first party, so you'll have to pay more, but they're durable. Yes, the memory card will work on the PlayStation 2. Just so yeah. By the way, reviewing the controller, as you can see, no analog sticks. I will put the because this was the PlayStation. This was the controllers. Looks now it looks like a Super Nintendo controller with minus the handles. Just remove this part right here. It looks like a Super Nintendo controller. It's comfortable. Obviously, no analog sticks. Of course, I'll show you the analog stick one. Came out in 1998. Well, it's not the first one with analog controllers, I should say. This particular controller came out in 1998. The one I was trying to tell you, the analog controller before the DualShock, the analog controller came out in 1997. Of course, that is rare. I will show you. I'll leave a link in the description and show you the picture with the analog controller, like, because obviously I don't have that. So yeah, this will work on a PlayStation 2. I should probably mention this right now. This DualShock 2 controller will work on a PS1. Yes, it will fit here. See? See? Right there. No, you cannot use PS2 controls, PS2 games on here, and the PS2 memory card work on here, obviously. Anyway, not worrying about that. So yeah, let me move this real quick. So yeah, almost every PS1 accessory will work on the PS2. I don't know about PS3. I'll be shocked if you can do that. Speaking of the controllers of the PS, here's the PS1 game, Need for Speed 2. By the way, this menu here, it said player 1 or player 2, memory card 1 block. I'll say this about the memory card. That's a negative. I'll get to that soon. Analog joystick compatible. Okay. Here's Crash Team Racing. It clearly said multi-tab adaptable 4 players because the PS1 has 2 pull ports. If you want to play multiplayer games, buy a multi-tab. Analog control compatible, vibration function compatible. Of course, I think the Gran Turismo 1, I think, or Gran Turismo 2, for some reason, it says it had dual analog compatible, DualShock compatible. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. By the way, here's a PS1 game. I use CTR, it doesn't matter. This is of course, this is a black CD disc. Compact disc. Basically like the PS2 boot disc. I'll explain that when we get to the PS2 and get the PS2 part. Let's play. But anyway, like I said, the PlayStation 1 has this third-party stuff. It's innovative. The controllers are innovative because full analog, even though the N64 technically did that, but we're not here to talk about that. But vibration, I don't think did the N64? No, I'm sorry, he did. Because the N64, you have to buy a rumble pack. I think Star Fox 64 advertised that. But anyway, as we all know, PlayStation 1 was innovative because CD players, this was a cheap CD player and audio disc, obviously. The games are cheap, and first party was great. Third party, because the PlayStation 1, even though it does look kind of ugly, PS1 3D, to be fair, it didn't look, but it did prove with the later games. But anyway, let's get back to the main part. Okay, yeah, the 3D. Oh, I should probably mention it. If you're playing this on a PS2, playing a PlayStation 1 game on the PS2, I should probably mention this first. Just remember, if you're playing a PlayStation 1 game on the PS2, you still need a PS1 memory card. PS2 memory card won't work on this, okay? Should probably mention that out the way. So let me say this right now, alright? The negatives about the PS1. I've spoken very positive. What about the negatives? Well, like I said, this is the PS1. It's not that reliable. Well, of course, this one improves over the audiophile PlayStation 1, where I've been told those ones had problems because they're overheating ones. So this one doesn't overheat. Of course, you still got the problem of skipping discs, if the laser skipping, long loading times. See when I see skipping frames and discs, you also know what I'm talking about. Picking on games and CDs. Of course, the laser disc, the laser need to get replaced. I will admit that. So yeah, just beware. It's not that different. It's not that bad from the PS2. It's better than the PS2 reliability. I'll say that. So yeah, if you want one of these cost like, on the condition, if you get it by itself, like 30, 40, around $20 to $40 by itself, because they're not high demand. Because like I said, other things play PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. So just remember that. Yeah, some of these games will cost you a couple bucks, like the original Final Fantasy. I can't remember which game it was. Of course, you can't do this now because the PSN network on the PlayStation 3 doesn't work. It's not there no more, obviously. It's closed. Unless you want to emulate. We don't talk about emulation because it's not really the same. So anyway. So yeah, once the PS2, yeah, this was, like I said before, this was a thing. You could still buy these at Walmart back in late 05, early 06, because the PS3 was, because 360 came out in 05, this in late November of that year. Just remember that. And so yeah, you could probably pick these up around like 50. I don't know what's the price at the time. I was like 5 or 6 years old when that happened. So yeah, this was out when the PS3, Wii about to come out. So that's why Sony said, let's move on, let the PS2 was still out, and let's focus on the PS3 and the not the Vita, the PSP, the PlayStation Portable. So anyway, hey, this is my little video, PlayStation 1 console review. By the way, I forgot to open this. See, that's the laser that needs to get replaced, by the way. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys later.